All right, for some different content here, I'm going to go through every roster, pick their worst lord, not generic. Well, maybe generic, but like I'm probably going to aim towards legendary lords. Going to take their worst lord and tell CA how to make them relevant. Okay? All right. Beastmen are weird, actually, because most of their lords are pretty solid. I'd say the worst would be Khazric, but he's actually doing better these days. I honestly think just a slight cost reduction for him is fine. 1950 is a bit much for a Chariot Lord that's not that good of a duelist. That, or give him like a Grimgore or Queak Headtaker style debuff, single target debuff to make him a little better of a Lord duelist. Otherwise, honestly, the Beastmen have a pretty good roster of Lords. Bretonia, Rapons. Rapons is an entire disaster. She's not even that expensive, and she has decent stats, but there's something about her that just never fully translates, and she has some decent little buffs here. Oh, Rapons. Probably she just needs a better mount than a horse. If she had a Hippogriff mount, I could actually see Rapons being decently meta, because, like, dude, look at this. Plus 10 melee defense, plus 8 melee attack for all allies in range, and then a blinded debuff, and then another big buff for herself in melee. She's just held back by being on a horse, which horses in general, at the making of this video, horse mounts are not very good. They're serviceable, but they have low mass, so if you get stuck in even, like, basic infantry, she's just stuck there, and that sucks. But otherwise, Rapons could be good, so she just needs a better mount option. She'd actually be viable. Chaos Dwarves. Oh god, is it Drazoth or is it Zatan? Drazoth, let's take a look at you. It's Zatan. Alright, Zatan's the worst. Zatan's close to being good. I think the problem is his boundless cruelty. Oh, leadership scaling up to -8, depending on how many people around you are already, like, crowded around you. In a late game situation, most of the enemy models are dead. So the later the game goes, when people's leadership is worse, he gets less of a minus leadership buff. So he gets worse as the game goes on. That's dumb. That's backwards. Like, it should just be, I don't know how much long he's been in melee or how many kills he got or something like that. It should charge up as the game goes on, not down, because that's stupid. And his sadistic snare, its range is insanely small. A range of 20 meters is horrendous. It is horrendous. It's awful. Like, the snare itself is fine, but the range on it's garbage. So I think if you change how boundless cruelty stacks, or just turn it into a -8 or a constantly, because for fuck's sake, he's bad. And then sadistic stare needs more range. Otherwise, he's fine. He's serviceable. Oh god, Demons of Chaos. Okay, this is a weird one, but like, isn't Arkalux literally useless? Yeah, the Demon Prince is literally just better version of Arkalux. So, I don't know. Arkalux, what to do with you? I mean, the easy answer is make him cheaper, but that's no fun. Probably just make him a caster for the same cost. Give him, ooh, that'd be fun. Give him a mixed lore of spells from, like, across the demons, right? That could be really cool, actually. Give him, like, wait, there's 4 demons. Oh, that's awkward. 4 demons, 6 spells. I don't know. Like, Stream of Corruption from Nurgle, Acquiescence from Slaanesh, things like that. Like, just give him a mixed lore, that would be dope. Dark Elves! It's Lokir or Rakarth are the worst. Or maybe Hellebron. I'll go with Rakarth. It's not great, but I'll go with Rakarth. I like his mount options. Those are fine. He has some decent buffs. I think the problem is his cost. Like, he is just not at all worth 3,200 gold on a dragon. And then Whip of Agony affects enemies max 1. Removes terror and fear. Okay. Isn't there one that only works on large things? Yeah, okay, Whiplash. Only works on a unit that's not a lord or a hero. That's kind of dumb. You're not going to have a lot of large units that aren't lords or heroes. So, stop doing that. So his Whiplash needs to just be freed up to be used on lords or heroes. Because, like, he could use it on himself, right? Like, assume it has to be a large target, but then he could use it on himself because he's, like, whipping Brachus or he's whipping the Manticore to give himself that buff. Like, then it'd be a way better ability. So, I don't know. Make that stop being stupid and reduce his cost by a significant amount for his mounts, especially for his mounts, and he'd be fine. Dwarves. It is definitely Ungrim Iron Fist. Honestly, Thorgrim Grudgebearer is actually currently in a better spot than Ungrim. Ungrim's nice and cheap, and he has a decent stat line, but he just kind of sucks. Like, he's real bad. And I think part of it is that his abilities are bad. Axe of Dargo and Red Ruin. Axe of Dargo is alright. Red Ruin actually nerfs him for some reason. Minus 24 melee defense. Because I know it's like he's supposed to be getting more reckless. But like, dude, he only has 50 fucking melee defense. That's such a bad... that is like half his melee defense getting chopped off. You can't do that. So that's kind of messed up. And also, he has no net or anything to keep anybody next to him. Which I don't want everyone in the world to get a net. But... yeah, a Foot Lord, as soon as he pops these buffs, a competent opponent's just going to run away from him, and that's that. So, Ungrim, what he needs is, like, an enhanced Foe Seeker, would be what I'd give him. Like, Doom Seeker, and give him, not joking, like, 100% more speed. Because, I mean, that sounds like a lot, but his speed's 32, right? So that's 64 speed for a temporary buff. That would be kind of cool, to see him go sprinting after, like, a monster or something. You know? It just gives him a little bit more mobility. Otherwise, he's okay. His stat line's all right. His big problem is that Red Ruin nerfs him, so probably take off the minus 24 melee defense. Like, why? Stop it. And give him a special Foe Seeker that makes him faster. Empire. The worst Legendary Lord is Vulkar, and the easiest fix is just go back to Warhammer 2 levels of Soulfire Bombardment. The rest of his stuff is okay. It's skilled fine into Game 3, but the biggest problem is... well, he has two big problems, but one's a good thing. A lot of the chariot mounts got fixed, and his is no exception. So now a lot more units in the game can hit him correctly, and that is a good change. That's a great change. It did nerf him quite a bit, but the reason he's not the powerhouse he used to be is Soulfire Bombardment is literally worthless. It is completely pathetic. So if Soulfire Bombardment actually cleared out chaff that was around him, he would be meta. Not amazing. Oh, sorry, not meta. He'd be fine. Not meta, not amazing, but fine. Franz and Boris and Gelt are just too good right now, but like that would bring Vulkar into a nice balanced territory. Grand Cathay. Out of the Legendary Lords, Yanbow is the worst. I don't really want to buff him because he has some pretty toxic stuff in his kit if he was strong, but playing Devil's Advocate to make him balanced, it's just a cost thing. He costs 3,500, which is insane. He's never going to get that back because the dragon mounts suck. An easy way to fix him would be make the dragons not bad. Like when he turns into a dragon, if he actually does damage and like is good at doing things, then his price point is worth it. But currently you're just going to keep him in his foot form, and then having 3,500 for a foot caster is kind of insane. So he just needs like 200 or 300 gold off of his price, because of course you're going to take some spells off, right? You'll probably have like this. You probably don't want Roiling Skies, probably don't want Power of Yin, probably don't want Arcane Conduit, probably don't want Dragon's Fang. So I think it's 2,400, but it's still like, that's a lot, man. For a foot caster with 2 spells and an execute, I don't know. It's tricky though, because his execute's so toxic that people don't want him to be strong. But Devil's Advocate, to make him strong, probably 200 or 300 gold off. Greenskins, Worst Lord, Legendary Lord. Grom? Their Legendary Lords are also solid. This one I will just go with the obvious. Orc Warboss is worthless. He is garbage. And it's mostly the Wyvern's fault. Wyvern either needs a breath attack or it needs a health increase, but the fact that it only has 6,000 HP while his Warboar has 5,000 is kind of insane. So it just doesn't make him very tanky. But he's kind of cheap, I guess. I don't know. Wyvern mounts just need to be way better for the Orc Warboss to be fine. But even on his wow, his base cost is insane. Even on his Warboar with no buffs, he's 1,300. That's awful. That's awful. Yeah. His mounts all need a cost reduction. Warboar should be like 150. Wyvern should be 650 if it's better. If it's not going to be better than like 400. And you think I'm joking, but like Wyverns suck that bad that even 400, I don't think this guy would get taken. Orc Boar Chariot also just sucks. So his mounts need to be better. High Elves. Out of the Legendary Lords, it's probably Alethanar. Alethanar just needs homing missiles. That's the biggest thing. If you watch Alethanar shoot, most of his arrows miss, because if he fires it and you move, it's not gonna correct course at all. Now, I'm not talking about Blue Fire or Zinch level of homing, but at least like basic homing. You know, that's why Marcus Wolfheart was better than Alethanar for a long time, is because Marcus's arrows had slight homing, and Alethanar, literally in Warhammer 2, if you would fire and you would move, it didn't course correct at all. Like if you moved at all, you're shit out of luck. It's missing. It's probably just that, just homing missiles, and he'd be better. Yeah. Corn, Scarbrand. And 2 things to fix him. 1, a cost decrease. He costs way too much. But then also, Slaughter and Carnage needs to tone it the fuck down. It takes so many kills to charge it up. So many. That's just never going to happen in a multiplayer game. Maybe campaign's different. That's fine. But then it needs different scaling for multiplayer. And I'm not even trying to say it should get up to 100%. But we've cast a lot of games with Scarbrand because people take him whenever we want to meme around. And, like, this dude will get through a whole battle, get, like, 50 kills or something, like, be in combat. And this stuff's charged to, like, 10%, which is just not worth it. So, I don't know. Scarbrand needs a cost decrease, and Slaughter and Carnage needs to tone it down on how many kills you need to charge it up. Kislev, Legendary Lords. I guess Gestalten is the worst. Though again, like some rosters, all 4 of their Legendary Lords are fine. Zarina's good as a cheap caster if you need her. Mother Ostankia is actually the best right now, and Boris is a good duelist, so I guess that leaves Gestalten. But he's honestly okay. I think he's fine. The Ice Witch and the Boyar are also serviceable, though. So, yeah, Gestalten's overall the worst. He's just the worst on a roster that's honestly chilling. I hate to be that guy, but just a cost decrease. A lot of his stuff is fine, but if you try and strip him down to just things you need, I mean, you're getting, like, Sully's Lullaby and Tor's Battle Hymn for 1,700 gold. I don't know. Doesn't seem great. But he's okay. I guess the Boyar might actually just be a better choice for this concept of a video. But he's also doing okay. Alright, it's the Ice Witch, I guess. It's the Ice Witch, and the only thing I would make better is make Lore of Ice and Lore of Tempest better. Okay, cool, moving on. Kislev has really good lords, I don't know what to tell you. Lizardmen. Oxyotl, easy. A lot of the foot-standing Archer Lords are not doing well right now. Marcus Wolfheart wasn't the worst on the Empire, because 1, Volkmar is just more sad, and Marcus has a net, so people sometimes take him for the net. Oxyotl does nothing. He does very little damage, he misses a lot, and he's squishy, and he's expensive. So he just doesn't do anything. For Oxyotl, when he was meta, he was pretty toxic. I like how low his HP is. I like that stuff. I would just crank up his missile strength and give him homing, but then keep him squishy so when you find him, you can kill him. Warhammer 2, he was toxic because he was super tanky when you found him, but he also did a lot of damage. It's like, okay, let's split the difference. He shouldn't be weak. He shouldn't be weak and do no damage. He shouldn't be tanky and do a ton of damage. Can we just settle on a ton of damage, but squishy? Norska, wow, all the choices. I'll go with... Wow. Throg and Wolfric are honestly fine. I'll go with the Marauder Chieftain, I guess. Marauder Chieftain... Flaming Axe of Cormac shouldn't apply to just him, and then it'd be fine. If he was this rolling AoE, melee attack, and fire damage Doomstick, you might see him on his chariot sometimes just blitzing through front lines. Maybe. It only affects him, though, and it buffs up his base weapon damage by 20%. Oh, boy. When his base weapon damage isn't exactly amazing. So it kind of makes him a half-ass duelist, which if you're going to take a duelist, you're going to take a Wolfric. So, just make him more of a... Make him a support lord. Because then you have Wolfric the duelist and Throg the, like, tanky anti-large guy. But the Chieftain should be a support lord. Gnergal. Gnergal. These 4 are fine. I guess the Demon Prince or Herald. I'll go with Herald. Herald's easiest. It's just a cost decrease. His kit's overall okay. His kit's overall fine. But on his Rotfly, this dude is not worth... Let's see. You could probably take Fleshy Abundance and stream. That guy is not worth 2,300 gold. Come on. Let's be real here. He's not worth 2,300 gold. He's squishy. He has demonic instability crumbling. His melee stats are meh. This guy is not worth 2,300 gold. Fuck you. He's overpriced. Just a cost decrease. He functions in-game as he should, where it's like he's not winning any duels, but he's a decent support lord, he's a decent caster, he's annoying. That's fine, but he shouldn't cost 2,300 gold. Groger Kingdoms. Greasus. It's Greasus. Greasus is the worst. Why is Greasus the worst? He's not that expensive, but the problem is he's not a caster, so you're going to have to take a caster hero, which the ogre caster heroes are expensive. So overall, his combined cost is going to be expensive. Greasus has low mass. I mean, like, 4,000 seems like a lot, but he still seems to get stuck and stuff. I think he needs better splash attacks. I'm really okay with Greasus being this slow piece of shit, but wherever he is, he needs to win. Wherever he is sitting needs to just be a bad time for the enemy, and they want to avoid him as much as possible to the late game. But the problem is he takes a lot of damage wherever he's sitting. With only 38 melee defense, he gets poked down by stuff really easily, and he has no self-healing, which is fine. There's way too much healing in the game, so I'm not trying to say you should get self-healing. I would bump up his melee defense, increase his splash attack by a lot, and just make him a bit of a menace of just wherever he is winning, but his weakness is he can't be everywhere at once, and he's not a caster. So I would do that. His cost seems fine. You just need to buff his stats by a lot in different ways. Skaven. Worst Lord is Queak, unfortunately. Tretch is similar, but Tretch is less expensive and tankier. We've talked a lot on stream on how to fix Queak because he's my favorite character. I'll keep the short version here, and I'll just pick one of the methods. I think Queak should get the Game 3 treatment where they do a whole bunch of stuff with, like, kills made by enemies' units, right? They changed the Black Coach to have it. They changed Scarbrand to have it. So give Queak that treatment where the more kills he gets, he charges up something. Now, you might disagree with what. I would vote for a global leadership and melee attack buffs as he drives his army into a frenzy. If it's not going to be global, then it would be local melee attack and weapon strength or something. And it needs to ramp crazy hard if it's going to be local, because that's pretty much just going to affect him. Because he's going to have to get kills throughout the whole game, so his army's going to die. So then this will make Queak a terror in the late game. It's going to have to be intense. Otherwise, you'll just ignore him, because who cares? But anyway, and it shouldn't scale like Scarbrand's currently does, where it takes 1,000,000 kills to get anything. Like, once again, bring the scaling back into reasonable. But if the enemy player should be in a bad position where it's like, okay, either I dual Queak with my Lord, which he's good at, or I ignore Queak and kill his whole army and hope I can kill his army before he fully stacks up and becomes a bit of a menace. It should be one of those two things. And you could still dual Queak with a large character, because most of his stuff is bonus versus infantry, so it's not like he's going to love a Manticore diving in on him or a dragon diving in on him. But that's just one thing you could do. Just give him some scaling with kills, so as he jumps into the front line and just starts massacring randoms, he's getting some bonuses. That could be pretty cool. So, something like that. Not a Mortis Engine, for the love of God. Slanesh. Nakari's still probably the worst Lord. After the buffs, he's really fun. He's really, really fun. He's just overcosted. 4,000 is too much. And I know it's the boring thing of this list. I mentioned it often, but that is true. There's a lot of things in this game that are functioning well. They're just at too high of a price point to ever consider taking them. But Nakari's like 3,500 with a kit I want to take him with. He's 3,400-ish. Well, 3,345, whatever. With this kit that I would want to take him with. That's just too much. He has 15 armor, 8,000 health. His heal is dependent on killing in a unit entirely, which is only good versus demons and undead. That's way too much. I'm sorry. It's way too much. Like, this character's fine. He doesn't need stat buffs. He's already a monster on the battlefield. He doesn't need, like, speed buffs. He doesn't need any of that stuff. I like him being low armor. He's very thematic. He's very fun. He's squishy, so it's risky. Like, he's a very fun character. He's just costs way too much. I would probably take, like, 400 gold off this guy. This kit should probably cost him 2,900. That's still a lot, but then he's actually a pretty good beat stick. So, yeah. Nakari needs a pretty significant cost decrease. But it's like model and stuff is working fine. I wouldn't touch his stats. His stats are great. Doom Kings. Khalita's probably the worst. And I think the biggest thing is her Serpent Mount. Her Serpent Mount has really good stats, but in game it feels rather lackluster, and she doesn't cause terror. So give her Serpent Mount better. Give her Serpent Mount Terror, probably more HP. Bump that up to 7,000 HP, and then that's fine. And also, she has this weird blessing, which some people like, so maybe keep it because it makes her unique. But she has, like, missile buffs when she's not a missile character. So do you want a melee lord sitting next to your missile stuff to give him buffs when she's not participating in the fight? It seems odd. So maybe change the Blessing of Asaph, or give her a 360 shooting on her Necro Serpent. Could do that. I don't know. But that needs to be a little more synergistic with her. If you want to leave that how it is and leave her how she is, then just give her Necro Serpent Terror and more HP. I wouldn't do Terror, more HP, and a bow attack. That seems like a lot. Zinch, the Changeling. Okay, I've mentioned a lot this video, but also his cost. But this one's significant because his cost is insane. Like, It depends on who you pick, which is good. It used to just be flat, and that was dumb. But, like, it costs way too much to be anybody. There's no reason to ever pick the Changeling. Oh, I could turn into Astrogoth. I cost 5,000 gold. It's not worth it. All of his changes cost way too much. They should probably be, like, whoever he changes into minus, like, 800 or something. I don't know. I don't want this guy to be toxic. I don't want this guy to be meta because he seems toxic, but, like, gun to my head, how do I make him meta? Probably take whatever his base cost is, like 3,200. Well, sorry, whatever. If he didn't have a transformation, let's say he costs 800, then add that to this, and that's what the cost is or something. But like if his base cost is 1,000, that's way too much for a dog shit ass combatant. Vampire Coast. Luther Harkon is the worst, and the Vampire Coast struggle with foot characters. So you could 2-for-1 this. One, his cost is insane. His cost is way too high. 1,700 for a non-caster Vampire Lord? No, that's dog shit. That's awful. Terrorgeist mount is 1,500 for one of the worst flying mounts in the game. Also terrible. So Terrorgeist need buffs. So buff the Terrorgeist mount, reduce its cost, and give Luther a significant bonus versus infantry so he can become this infantry sniping guy that the coast can bring if they're worried about foot squads taking them out. That would make him useful, and the coast would not lose as much to Hero Hammer anymore. Vampire counts, oh god. It's probably Isabella. And it feels weird to say that, but Isabella's probably the worst Legendary Lord. Because she has a really asynergistic kit, Blood Chalice of Bathorai can only heal lords or heroes when the vampire counts have a bunch of heroes with self-healing anyway, or they're pretty underwhelming. And then this lady herself is not a good combatant. She's okay, but she's not good. So it's like, what are we doing with this healing? It's not like I'm a dragon lord that can charge in or do any of that stuff. So Isabella just probably needs armor-piercing weapon strength and to be more of a monster in her Hellsteed to make the Blood Chalice worth it to heal herself up. I don't know. It's not great. She's not terrible. A lot of the Count's Lords aren't terrible, but the Blood Chalice just doesn't really have a ton of synergy with the Vampire Count's roster. Because there's also so much healing that a Chalice that gives you more healing, it's like, bro, I was going to heal cap anyway. This doesn't matter. And I wonder if that, in that case, you should switch it from being like, it could be a lesser heal than it is, give you Vigor back too, and then give you like some melee attack and weapon strength or something. Just kind of make it like a crazy buff, kind of like Crone Hellebron's Frenzies or something, that you get to use a couple times. I don't know. Just more healing on a roster that already heal caps everything that matters is pretty meh. Warriors of Chaos. Might be Zarthoriel. It's probably Zarthoriel. He's okay. He just costs a little bit too much. I'd give him back his missile resist and spell resist from game 2. Maybe not to the degree they were in game 2, but like give him 30% missile resistance, 30% spell resist, because he's just too squishy when he used to be like the guy that you just don't do magic to or don't shoot missiles at. So that could be good for him. Just give him back his missile and spell resist. Make him the tanky Zinch flyer as opposed to, for some reason, like the squishiest lord on this roster. His cost seems fine. Like for a greater demon of Zinch, he's fine. Wood Elves. Worst legendary lord. Maybe Orion? Okay, Orion, he's not that bad. He's not that bad. What I will say is he's still the worst lord of the Wood Elves. His kit's fine. He has a bug with him that sucks. If I remember correctly, and if it's still in the game, he doesn't actually get to firewall moving, which is a huge problem for him. So when he's chasing something down, he's not going to chuck spears at it, and it's really annoying. So if he actually had firewall moving, he'd probably be okay, and he does cost a bit too much, which I know, broken record, but like 2,400 for a lord, that's 1/5 of the funds you get in the game. Is Orion 1/5 of an army? Not really. So you could either reduce his cost, which I've said a lot, but if you wanted something that wasn't a cost reduction, fix his damn bug about throwing his spear, and maybe give his spear explosion damage so it's good at clearing out chaff as well as decent at sniping out people. And then that would force you to come fight him, and then he would be worth his cost. So make him like an artillery piece, you know? Kind of like a Cygor-ish. But Cygor sucked too, but you get my point. Like, you know. Fine, if you want to keep running away from Orion, King of the Wild Hunt, I'm just gonna keep throwing explosive spears at you, so deal with that. Anyway. That is my thought for every single lord on how to make all of the worst lords on each roster at least fine. Roar.
Subscribe, yes, yes.